10 minutes. So we love it. Greg, it's
I
fun.
may have to finish at 11 because I may need to throw a 16-year-old out.
We're live now. Hey, it's Ross Payton with Ludonarrative Dissidents. We're here live talking about games and RPGs, part of our Season 3 Kickstarter. One of our stretch goals is, of course, doing a monthly live stream. And so here we are. To last episode or last live stream, we talked about bag building mechanics, other things. This time, I guess the big thing is I went to Gen Con. Yay! The world's biggest tabletop gaming convention, apparently.
Yeah. Europe would like to raise that with the referee.
Oh yeah, that's fair. I mean, it did sell out this year. They haven't posted official attendance numbers, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was like more like 80,000 than 70,000.
They very fiercely capped the tickets. I'd heard 71.
Yeah, so we'll find out when they officially announce it. But,
so which one's bigger? So James, which one's bigger?
Yeah, what is the attendance for Spiel?
Essen Spiel.
Yes.
Well, the trouble is you can't tell, and I've had conversations with, and here's your first drink of the night, children, with Peter Atkinson, who used to run Gen Con and indeed Wizards of the Coast. I talked to him about this because there we go. They mark their attendance completely differently. Gen Con is based on uniques. If you buy a ticket for 4 days, they mark you once. If you buy a ticket for 1 day, they mark you once. Whereas Essenspiel in Germany is on turnstile. If you go in on 1 day, they mark you once. If you go on 4 days, they mark you 4 times. But Essenspiel before COVID was, I think, had broken 200,000. And the last I heard, I didn't go last year, but I'm told it was 190,000. So, I mean, who knows? And I think they deliberately don't use comparable figures. But those are absolutely the two biggies. The number 3 English, well, actually the second largest English language is now UK Games Expo in the UK, which I think broke 40,000 uniques this year and 60,000 turnstile. Which for a convention that's only been running about 12 years is extraordinary. Yeah, and that's bigger than PAX Unplugged and Dragon Con, all the others you may have heard of. And
Origins is like 20 or 30
cons as well. You know, the stuff like the World Science Fiction Convention, for example, which is going on in Glasgow even as we speak. I am obviously not there. World cons are comparatively small. I think they push about 20,000 if they're lucky.
Yeah, but Origin is like 24 or 25.
But they punch above their weight in terms of scandal.
Yeah,
in terms of scandal. Also, I mean, just in terms of guests as well, because about a quarter of the people there will be novelists.
How many? Is it just the last 2 World Cons that have had giant flaming garbage pile scandals, or am I forgetting some because I'm aging and the brain is wearing smooth?
It's the Hugos more than the Worldcon itself, I think. But yeah, I mean, the two are intrinsically linked. You know, they share DNA.
Yeah.
You mean Worldcon's like, whoa, the Hugos, you can't paste the Hugos problems on me just because we're always seen together. And I drove Hugo here in my car.
Yeah.
I'm not an accessory
actually,
before or after the fact.
Yeah.
I, in fact, don't have any idea what Hugo was up to between the point when he put the knife in his bag to go talk to his girlfriend and the point when he asked for a ride to go hide some blood-covered sneakers by the highway.
All right.
But it's...
Sorry. I'm flashing back to something from my youth. But anyway...
There were shenanigans at the Chinese Worldcon, Worldcon, which was last year, or the Hugos, in which it appears that the Hugo committee was censoring so as to not offend the Chinese hosts / authorities. The exact details are still not entirely clear, but this broke after the Worldcon, in the run-up to the Glasgow Worldcon. Second drink of the night, children. I know Esther McCallum Stewart, Professor Esther McCallum Stewart, who is chairing the Worldcon even as we speak, and had a conversation with her about basically going, I am so sorry, all this shit is landing on your shoulders. And she was like, yes, because She has had nothing to do with China. She's just trying to get her event in Glasgow running as smoothly as possible. And yet everyone's going, well, Glasgow must respond to these allegations. Glasgow were not involved, because the thing about the Worldcon is there is no continuous committee. It's not run by the same organization. Each Worldcon is run by one organization and then hands it over to a completely different organization to run the next one. And where the
This
Worldcon
sounds like
will be,
a great way to handle things.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's a system that could only have been developed by science fiction fans with a healthy dose of idealism sometime when the event might have been pushing 600 people. And like the US Constitution, they've just never bothered to change it. With the result that a large chunk of each Worldcon is taken up by committee meetings for things like the Hugo Awards and all the rest of it, trying to work out protocols and all the rest of it. And
and look at what Ross has shared, and it's Neil Gaiman was cheated out of wow.
And RF.
Wow, Neil Gaiman cheating, you would say?
Yeah.
Hey-o.
Your heart just bleeds for the guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, another author was caught off in it too. So yeah.
Can I go 3 for 3? Well, you know Neil back in the late 80s, early 90s, and that's it. That's the name drop.
Yeah,
it's one of those, maybe scurrilous stuff was going on. I never saw any indication of it, but then that's the way.
I mean,
that kind of abuse works.
You don't really put that out in public.
It's always behind the scenes. Anyway.
Yeah. So conventions.
But Gen Con ran buttery smooth. Everything was perfect except for the COVID outbreaks.
Definitely COVID. Several people. I escaped COVID, but several people in the RPPR.
Man, you dodged that like a zookeeper on Monkey House duty, my man.
Yeah.
Congratulations, genuinely.
Thank you. The biggest news is that Caleb Stokes, friend of the podcast, won a gold Emmy for Delta Green God's Teeth.
Yay!
We're all very happy.
Genuinely frigging delighted.
Yeah,
I know I have expressed my opinion that awards are flawed and in the aggregate produce more unhappiness than happiness, but I am glad to see Kayla. If we gotta have awards, if we have to say something's the best, it's great to see it go to something that I know he busted his ass hard on. So yay.
Caleb had a very good. I was actually we shared a hotel room. We drove up together and back. And
you still didn't get his COVID.
I didn't. I was very lucky that way. But our hotel was near India Garden, and so there's a great. So India Garden is a hotel near and dear to Arc Dream Publishing and people associated with it. And so the first year Caleb went to Gen Con. We all went to India Garden for dinner, for me, him, and you, I think, and a bunch of Shane Ivey from Arc Dream Publishing and Ken Hyde.
It became a tradition.
Yeah, it became a tradition, and just a very long, nice, dinner with Indian food and good conversation about books and movies
Was the waiter there?
I don't remember. Yeah, it was a buffet.
This waiter who just had this completely lugubrious face, just like. And then every year when we came back, he would remember our drink orders, which was mostly just, do you have those giant 14-ounce Zoom beers?
Oh yeah, they had Taj Mahal, bottles this long,
okay.
So, but it was a buffet this year. But the first year Caleb went, we had this great dinner, we had this great conversation, and Caleb was still teaching high school back then, and so. He called it on the way back, it's like an 8-hour drive from Indianapolis to Springfield. We stop at Rolla, Missouri at a Colton Steakhouse for dinner before we get home. And Caleb just goes in there and sees the peanut shells on the ground and just the graffiti in the bathroom and the Shania Twain playing, and he calls it the cultural bends, just like going from this civilized, elegant dinner to like to Colton's was very depressing for Caleb.
A lot of things are very depressing for Caleb, but
that's true. But that part of the inspiration that led to that, Godsey started an RPPR back in 2015. Got picked up by Delta Green, a long writing process, lots of rewrites, and now it's finally out. It's sold out at Gen Con.
Yep.
Caleb had a really good Gen Con. I had a really good Gen Con. Actually, tomorrow, a little bit of self promo.
What?
We're going to be I put together a quick little highlight episode of RPPR that'll have some video. I shot video this time, and that's going.
You've gone to the dark side.
Yeah, well, the audio is also
going electric. Wait, no, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so that's me at the Delta Green panel. I was on the Delta Green panel, and we recorded multiple panels, and the Art Dream and Delta Green panel, Actual Play Podcasting 101. And then the RPPR live episode. We also did a Delta Green live play episode run by Juicy Garland, who's a drag queen and a member of the Tabletop Tail Spinners podcast network. And that was a lot of fun. That was like a 1950s set abbreviated Delta Green game where we're going to the Broadway premiere of The King in Yellow. And I played a drunken Raymond Carver-esque novelist who was secretly hunting for communists thanks to his buddies at the CIA egging him on. It was a lot of fun. What else? I did some interviews. I talked to Gareth Hanrahan at the talking about his new book, The Mines of Moria, and the Borrelius Connection. In fact, I got quite a bit of stuff at Gen Con, so why don't we take a look?
Shocked. Yeah. Oh yeah, so were there like the big show releases? Woo.
A lot of board game stuff, so I focus on RPGs. So here's my haul. We can kind of
Rifter.
Back to
the Reich. I've heard of that one even.
Yeah, so we can go through this. So the top left, Survivalist Guide to Spelunking, is from AAW Games, and it's a system neutral guide to creating underground spaces and caves and dungeons and that kind of thing.
Okay, how many caves have you actually been in?
Couple dozen. I live in Missouri. There's so many caves here.
Right. So you've got caves, James.
Yeah.
Caving?
Quite a few. I mean, I've never been caving. I have a fear of that kind of thing. But again, the UK is pretty well served for this kind of thing. There's Wookiee Hole, the brilliantly named Wookiee Hole.
That's not real.
Others as well. So
I roll to disbelieve, James. That can't be true.
Wookiee Hole? It's famous. They make cheese there.
We have a cheese cave in Springfield. There's government cheese.
I've heard of your cheese cave.
Yeah. I love that there's a British cheese cave too.
Sure. Well, it's a different kind of cheese cave, I'm sure.
Obviously,
but the thing, what I'm hoping your spelunking guide gets is that these places are kind of awful and chaotic. If you go into an actual cavey cave, there's no flat floor. Everything's just a scooped out little ditch, and you're contorting yourself around stalactites and mites.
I mean, this looks pretty big, Greg. Look at that. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah. I was so disappointed to discover it wasn't exactly 10 by 20 rooms with light panels and stuff.
I haven't had a chance to read this yet. And this is a review copy I got from AAW. So I'll have to, we'll be covering that at some point, either RPPR or on here. Back to the Rifter is interesting. It's written by Ewan Clooney and Julian Kay. Ewan did Hardwired Island, and Julian Kay, who's a member of our Discord now, wrote Mutants in the Now, and both of them are veteran Palladium. Well, veterans of reading Palladium games, riffs, and other things. And so this is like commentary, humorous commentary on
the Palladium vibe.
So it's commentary on the Palladium games, which is really interesting for RPG books. I'm looking forward to reading that. Obviously humorous, but
does it cover what was it? Mutants? Not mutants. Ninjas, Spies, and Private Eyes. That was Palladium, right?
No, Ninjas.
That was Blade.
Yeah,
Mercenary
ninjas and super
spies.
spies. Ninjas
That's a Mike
and super spies.
Stackpole.
Yeah.
Wash your mouth out. Actually,
Well,
I reread it recently because Rebellion just acquired the rights to all the old Flying Buffalo and Blade stuff. And I was thinking, I could really update this. I could turn this into a kind of a modern cinematic espionage thing. And I reread it and went, no, I couldn't. So, yeah, it is not. It was great back in 84, 83, 84 when it came out.
That is what I've been thinking as we're
aged well.
We're doing the James Bond 007 game as our next our next
a
deep
curated
dive.
episode.
And yeah. I'm like,
That's
okay, all these OSR guys who are nostalgic for the 80s have not played a lot of games from the actual 80s.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think that's why I like Dungeon Crawl Classics as my favorite OSR, because it's OSR in spirit, but the mechanics are like modern. They are not beholden to the legacy mechanics.
The heart and soul is this chart.
You got the vibes, but not the exact thing.
Yeah, it's stuff is encumbered. All right, Eat the Reich, which is vampires versus Nazis, right?
Yes, it's from Grant Howitt. It's meant for 1 or 2 shot games. I got the limited edition with the little challenge coin and the bookmarks and the patches and because they had a couple left over. These were Kickstarter only editions, but like they had some leftovers. So.
Apparently, it's Kickstarter and Ross only.
Well, they had leftovers at the booth, Greg. It had shiny things.
Ross is over here. I'm not made of stone, man.
They had a challenge coin, a little thing for me. Like, how can I resist that? I love a good little thing.
You snapped like a twig.
Basically, yeah. Cyber Rats. Which uses the Lumen system, which is a system I've heard about, but I haven't got to experience, where you're playing cybernetically enhanced rats fighting mutants and aliens for a giant corporation.
It's not from the cover. I mean, there have been times, even in my own career, when art vibe does not match text vibe. So, but I'm guessing from this that this is not the grim we three,
Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim.
Yeah.
What if Rats of Nim was really depressing? What if we just blended in I Am the Cheese in there?
So, God, I remember one of my friends ran a game inspired by the Rats of Nim, although he added a Lovecraftian angle for it. Sure. And it was a great game. It's an RPPR actual play, but he was surprised when we were telling him how dark it was. I didn't think it was that dark. Aaron, you literally told us that we found a room where the bodies were stacked like cordwood. Like, it was a pretty dark game, Aaron. Like, it's great.
Wookiee hole. So it's not spelled like Chewbacca. Well, that's something.
Yeah.
Just oxygen deprivation. Yep. Okay.
They filmed the Doctor Who serial there. Cast and crew claimed the caves were haunted. Turned out it was poor ventilation, leading to oxygen deprivation. Yep. Yeah.
Is your house haunted, or do you have a carbon monoxide leak? And frankly, you're probably better off with haunting. Priests don't charge you to get rid of that.
Now, are you saying Dallas and Rocky and Bullwinkle don't hold up? Now, as someone who's played both games, I will say, we did both for the RPPR.
Ross has played it. Drink.
Drink. At April 1st episodes. Dallas does not hold up. It is awful. But like Rocky and Bullwinkle's actually pretty good. It has a lot of improv heavy mechanics. And if you have people get the vibe of that show, you can get we have an actual play of it.
The glove puppets are such a good idea. That's absolutely brilliant.
And the little spinner,
I've heard
it's
great.
Fun. Yeah, it's a fun game.
Absolutely tip top.
Yeah, if all three of us ever meet up, I'll run that. We can do that.
Okay. Yes.
Someone's got to do the voice
on video.
Yeah.
The other Dallas, I've read Dallas. Dallas has some great ideas in it, and this is something that I'm gonna come back to when we do the 007, which we're literally recording in a couple of days. It has the problem that it's published by SBI.
Yes.
SBI was a war games company. Its designers were war game designers. So it has great narrative ideas, but they are written down in the language of war games, and it does not work.
Yep. Nail on the head.
Yeah.
Was it you who was saying
so far ahead of its time?
Who was speculating on an alternate universe where the Dallas role-playing game broke wide, and fantasy role-playing games became this like little persistent 30% of the industry, but most of it was the oh no, what it's really about is simulating soap operas.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, moving on to my next thing. MetaHumans Rising is a superhero RPG. They have a supplement just that's out on Kickstarter. This is a review copy I picked up at Gen Con. It looks interesting. I haven't had time to read it, but I like it. Has its own system, bespoke system, so I'm quite interested in reading that. Then The Well actually is a role-playing
very
game
good.
It's a dungeon crawling RPG. It looked pretty light. I picked it up at the IPR booth, and I was very happy with that. Then I did a zine trade with Julian K for a copy of my Night Clerk zine for Mutants in the Minis.
Merry Crabmas.
Yeah,
I'm in love already.
Merry Crabmas and Old School Renaissance, which has Renaissance stats. Stats for Renaissance era weapons and characters so you could do like Leonardo the Mutant Turtle painter,
Whoa. Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That is brilliant.
I do enjoy Mutants in the Now quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to it. But the thing I'm most excited about is probably what I'm going to run next as a campaign for RPPR, which is the Borealis collection by Gareth Hanrahan and Kenneth Hite. So I talked to both of them about this, and we talked about it at the Delta Green Fair.
Tastes great together.
So this is 1960s Delta Green, French Connection globe hopping. You're going after drug traffickers with Mythos baddies running the drug trafficking. So you're going around the world trying to catch them. And Ken outlined it, and then Gareth wrote it. And Ken described that process as great for him.
I'll bet.
But it looks really cool.
How did Gareth describe that process?
He's a very nice man. He was very he's a professional.
He is. He's up there with John Kovalik as just one of the nicest people in
just
here.
a sweetheart.
So
okay, so you haven't read this yet. And
no,
I know
I've skimmed it a little bit.
Okay.
I had the PDF earlier, yeah.
I know this is immensely unlikely, but what are you gonna do if you read it and you're like, oh, this just isn't very good?
From what I've read so far, it's pretty good. I've read. I
know, but how would it change your view of things if you're like, oh my God, Gareth and Kenneth are actually capable of producing a turd? What the? Now I gotta question everything.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd turn to drinking more.
Oh no! What a shocking transformation!
I may have to start a podcast about drinking. Another one.
Which leads us to Breakdown.
Yeah. Breakdown is. I just read this at IPR, the back of it, and it's about emergency workers and doctors and people in crisis situations. So it's modeled after shows like ER and House, and so it's like non-combat focused, but dealing with like the emotions and the tension.
Right.
And so I was just sold on the premise alone. On the right side, you can see Miru.
Hold on, just a moment. On Breakdown, do we think that author's name might be a pseudonym? W. Quinalippe Zorn.
Oh yeah, probably.
I mean, that's a high-scoring Scrabble name. I'm always skeptical.
Everyone thought that Lucien Solban was a pseudonym, but there's people out there who just have names that aren't James.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's see here. Let me pull up the IPR page real quick so you can take a look at it. More detail, because I've not had time to actually look at this either, because I've been so focused on this, catching up after this. Role-playing game centered on heroes in crisis, model and fictions, 911, Blade Runner, Brazil, ER, Fahrenheit 451, House, Life During Wartime, and Max Headroom. Self-sacrificing ER workers, journalists, firefighters, hackers, and other impassioned protagonists struggling with the tides of inhumanity and their own inner demons. So, yeah, it is. Yeah, but I don't know who that is. That's huh. Well, anyways, before we get too far in that rabbit hole, let's go back over to the left. We'll do Miru first. Miru is a solo play RPG that's map making and has like combat mechanics and stuff. There's a sequel to it, Miru 2. I thought I'd so one thing I found out talking to I talked to someone at Free League, Thomas, I can't remember his last name, but one of the main people behind Free League is he's like solo play is becoming a major thing in RPGs, not just as standalone solo play RPGs, but as adding solo play mechanics to existing RPGs. So, for example, Mines of Moria has a solo play section, so you can create a band of dwarves to go, on an expedition into Moria and run it yourself. And I know once I started looking for it, I started noticing a lot of newer RPGs are introducing or adding chapters on solo play elements. And so I thought, well, I should, I haven't really looked at solo play since 1,000-Year-Old Vampire. So I look at Miru. And in Miru, you're it's like this sci-fi horror thing where you're, in fact, let's see if I can find it on IPR, because I bought it at IPR. And by the way, Indie Press Revolution is a good company, and you should buy their books. Let's see here. Here we go. It's sci-fi horror, and the premise is quite intriguing. This is, let's see here, solo first hex crawling analog adventure game for one or more players set in a solar punk future. You play a character whose brother is killed by a robot. The next day, you pack your bag with a few supplies and foolishly head off into the uncharted wilderness to go kill the god responsible. So, which is intriguing. You'll explore uncharted territories, solve thrilling situations, search for treasures as you hunt down a god for revenge.
Job 2. This time it's personal.
Rolling dice, drawing maps, solving puzzles, exploring a world from a century from now. No two playthroughs are the same. It's pretty interesting premise. So, hey, Rosewood Abbey will be follow soon on IPR. Good. Pretty good stuff. Let's take a look. So, going back here, this is a King in Yellow themed dice set I got as a gift. Thank you, Micah. These I got for Maddie. So we have a little Warhammer 40k grot because Maddie has a orc army. This is a coffee dragon. That is a ramen noodle dragon. Those are Maddie's favorite foods. And then I got the Octopus Samurai enamel pin. And then a Honey Heist pin, an Innie's pin. And my friend got me a Plague Doctor pin. Can't really make it out here. And then a Black Vein, who is a character in Eclipse Phase. There's an Eclipse Phase board game coming out. Going to be crowdfunding in the next couple months. Yeah, let me see if I can pull up.
I look forward to that 450-page rule book.
Well, it's a board game. It'll hopefully be a little better. Let's see here. And then of course the Gen Con memorial set. So commemorative set. So so I didn't get a whole lot this year comparatively. Just this much stuff, but
sure.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, quite a bit of fun.
I mean, you can afford to be more selective now.
Well, also Caleb, he lives in Springfield, and he was getting all the board games. I was like, I don't really need to worry about that, do I?
Yeah,
I could just play all your board games. He did get My Father's Work, which is a legacy Frankenstein building game where you're mad scientists building Frankensteins. One thing I do want to talk about is Pin Bazaar real quick, which is fun. So this is my friend's bag with the pins, and you notice here this pin might look a lot like this carpet square. So this carpet square is the old Gen Con Center carpet square that was pulled up and cut up, and somebody was selling them on the Gen Con fan Facebook group. So I got it as a little souvenir.
That's of the Milwaukee community.
No, the Indianapolis one, like from
right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they just replaced it like last year. So I got the Gen Con carpet square, but then this year the ultra rare pin was a commemorative enamel pin of the old carpet pattern. And so my friend David, he went on this whole quest. You have to do a scavenger hunt to get this pin, where you have to get so many rare pins. I think it's like 20 or 21, and you get a coupon with each one. And then once you have all the coupons, you have to find a Gen Con staffer that has this, and then you can trade those coupons in to get the ultra rare pin. And it's a whole thing. It's
I feel exhausted already.
I know it's great, but like I think my biggest realization is Gen Con is really 10 different cons stacked up into one. Yeah.
Well, and like shuffle and bridge shuffled together.
Yeah.
So when are we going to do the LND enamel pin?
I mean, look, there's an RPPR one. We could do that. We can make that happen. We need a design, but
yeah, well, okay, throw it out to the fans. Fans, what pin would what Ludonarrative Dissidents pin would you stick on your jeans jacket to stroll into the tavern and attract the eye of the 10 at the bar?
Yeah, let us know in the comments or on the Discord. And but yeah, one thing I also found out, Gen Con this year had Jubanshaw games, which
wow,
you're not familiar. So Jubanshaw is a Chinese murder mystery LARP.
Oh, I didn't know that was the name, but
yeah.
So there's a Shut Up and Sit Down episode just about Jubanshaw games. It is mind-blowing. If you have any interest in the scope of games and what games can be, it will fry your brain. The fact that they were a Western innovation that flopped completely over here, published by Asmodee, unbelievably, but picked up in Japan, where they are now just part of mainstream culture. Extraordinary. Well worth half an hour or however long it is.
All right,
your
how
time.
is a Jubanshaw different from just a LARP?
Well, it's a murder mystery. It's a very specific scenario. And
so it's a subset of LARP.
Yeah, it's a subset of LARP. They're meant to be played over one evening, like usually in like 2 to 3 hours, maybe, I think. And it's like something you could do in a restaurant or a cafe, like in a private room or whatever. And you have pre-made characters. You don't like create a character on your own. And that's about all I know. Like, yeah, the Shut Up and Sit Down video is very interesting, but it's more about how it's spread like wildfire in China, like to the point where they're already adding legislation to limit them because of how popular and addictive they are. Apparently, there's like Jubanshaw villages, like theme parks, like locales that go more all out. Yeah. So, I mean, escape room elements too. Yeah.
And so yeah, this is it's heading towards Dream Park, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just one of the things I saw. And of course I missed I was invited to the D&D live event. I don't know if you heard about this.
So, I wasn't at Gen Con, man. I was at home replacing the bathroom fan in the upstairs bathroom.
So I'm not logged in onto this browser, but so Rascal News has a
secret
article,
D&D live.
So Wednesday, it was Wednesday before the con actually started, and it was before I could get there. And so I missed it, but it was an actual play, a live play with some of the people from Dimension 20, Brendan Lee Mulligan, etc., and two of the voice actors from Baldur's Gate 3, and they were playing 5th Ed D&D. And the summary of the article is that the first half of the live play, they were like, "Oh, great, this is great. These are talented actors improvising and being funny and charming." But then the whole point of this thing, Wizards of the Coast, it was an ad for their new virtual tabletop called Sigil, and they're like, "All right, you've been having fun now. Well, now we're doing combat, and you gotta use the virtual tabletop software, which we haven't trained you how to use. And so they like sucks all the oxygen out of the room. All of them are just trying to all these actors are trying to figure out how to use the software, and they're all just, trying to get through this. And it's yeah.
I mean, the parallel that immediately springs to mind, because, I have like 4 thoughts that I have at any given day, is this sounds like the tech industry saying, well, you loved Google when we would send you to facts about things, but you're going to absolutely adore it when we introduce AI and it just makes things up.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
God, yeah. It was really just I wish I had been there to see it, but just but I'm part of me's not,
I mean, part of you's like, I don't want to see that train wreck, and part of you's like, I kind of want to see that train.
I'm a pretty big fan of train wrecks.
Can we see guts?
Unrelated, but one of my favorite things is this website called 11'8", where there's a bridge in I think it's in Pennsylvania that has an 11'8" clearance.
Yeah,
and there's someone who posted a camera who lives across the street from this bridge, this underpass, and just has it pointed right there, and there's just a never-ending stream of trucks that don't know how tall they are, and they just slam into it. And anyways, I like those kind of things. So this is kind of like that.
Have you ever seen the webpage Web 3.0 is going great?
That sounds familiar.
Where down in the corner, it's just got this little fiery number, and as you scroll down, it's like this is how much money was destroyed by these crypto schemes. So yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oof. Oh yeah, $74 billion. $74 billion. Oof.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's a lot of money. That's
a lot of money.
That's like you get you half the D&D 5th ed set with that kind of money. Heyo. Yeah, because they're re-releasing the books, the 5.5 books, and each one's going to be like $60 or something like that.
You didn't pick up one of those, Ross?
No, one of my friends did, so I'm going to borrow it from him. I'll see if I can get a review copy for RPPR. I'll probably run some of the new versions of D&D for RPPR for the sake of completionism, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Ross. This is I'm not as educated as James on these matters, but I feel like if people want to find out how D&D 5.5 plays via podcast, I think they're going to have options.
Greg, I just I got to do the thing. Content for the content gods, Greg. You gotta understand.
More content.
Yeah. Let's see here.
I'm really tempted to suggest that we throw one out there, and we just do a kind of a speed one on.
Oh my God!
D&D 5. On the other hand, that would mean us buying the new edition.
Yeah.
How
That's from Archery. That's an official shirt. Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta get one for Martha.
Yeah. It's very good. So let's see here. They've of course expanded into Lucas Oil stadiums.
Sure.
And then this is the new food block section, food truck section.
Nice.
And
seems like a good place for it.
Yeah. Did you know Gen Con has a puppetry program?
Whoa.
They have a puppetry program, and with like workshops on making your own puppets, and people from like the Jim Henson Studios.
Wow. Do these people know about the Rocky and Bullwinkle role-playing game?
Probably. I would assume so.
I've read The House of Small Shadows, and I've read How to Sell a Haunted House, and so I can't be comfortable around puppets anymore. And I've read Puppet Land, frankly.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, this is a grotesque mockery of the human form God gave us.
It's just a cute little puppet, Greg. They're just normal men.
That's how they want. That's exactly what they want you to think, Ross. Don't kid yourself. Given half a chance, that puppet would kill you and everyone you care about.
I grew up in the UK at a time when children's television involved a program called Pipkins, which was hosted largely by a puppet called Hartley Hare, and I will find an image of Hartley Hare. And it's amazing that, frankly, any of us made it to adulthood.
Let's see here. One thing also, there are mega games, which I've never really played, but they had quite a few at Gen Con, and these are games with up to 80 players.
Oof,
yeah. And they had a lot at Gen Con. So, you know, fantasy and sci-fi themes. So, yeah, I actually made a list of all the things at Gen Con that I wanted to get, like, you know, B-roll footage, or get, you know, I asked RPPR fans to document that. And God, there's just so much at Gen Con. So you can really, one of my friends just spent the entire time playing Lorcana, which is the new Disney themed trading card game, and she did well. She apparently made money by the amount of rare cards she earned from it. But there's
that's not the kind of thing that sends your life on an unexpected negative detour. I just clicked that link, James. That's deeply cursed.
Yeah,
that thing looks like it should be explaining to children how to, you know, carbon monoxide poison their whole household.
Yeah, pretty much. It ran for years and years, including, it started off being, I think they were puppets. I think they knew they were puppets. I think it was in a puppet theater. But after about a series and a half, as I recall, the old actor who presented that, you know, was essentially the lead actor, died. The following episode was an episode about how he literally died. The actor died. The following episode was an episode about how he had died within the program, and explaining death to children.
Yeah,
like preschool
Sesame Street
children
did that.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I hate to break this to you, James, but sometimes preschool children know people who pass away.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And but I mean, from everything I've heard, Sesame Street handled the death of Mr. Hooper much better than DC handled the death of Superman, for what it's worth. And
so one game I did get to play is called Crossbows and Catapults. And it's a physical dexterity game where you build little plastic castles from plastic blocks, and you put little guys behind them, and then you like have crossbows and catapults to knock them down and knock the guys over.
But wasn't this a kids game in the 80s or the 90s?
I think it was. I think it is a re-release.
Yeah. So yeah, but you know, what fun.
I mean, with alcohol, it basically levels the playing field. So
the other one I've heard about, and I don't know if you saw this, is, and again, it was a Kickstarter. It's an army building game, but what you don't have the pieces of the army. What you have is a mold and Play-Doh, and you can make as many of your units as you have Play-Doh to make them, basically. And when you obliterate one of your opponent's pieces, you squash it. And again,
that sounds pleasingly tactile.
That's so brilliant.
Let's see. I saw this just passing through the hallway. This is outside a room running old D&D, and so this is, they were just running an old, like, first edition AD&D Adventures all day long in this room, apparently, and good times. Let's see. Other things I saw at Gen Con was a not quite life size, but like a giant BattleTech thing. Which, here, I'll get that up in a second. Oh, and BattleTech pods. They had the BattleTech pods. So there's that. And
I would enjoy those pods better if I didn't suck at them.
It didn't matter at that point. It was Saturday. I was already like, yeah, it's fine. It's an experience. But they so if you're not familiar with the BattleTech pods, let's see here. They are it's like 12 cockpits that you actually get into with like full controllers and everything, and you fight each other and blow each other up, and it's very, very silly. A lot.
Are these the original pods?
I think they are. I think they've been. I think it's a little like Ship of Theseus to a degree. You know,
sure.
Yeah. There's been a lot of wear and tear for sure.
Which just makes them look authentic, frankly.
Yeah. Let's see here. I did.
I once paid full price to play those when they were a thing in Chicago. When there was a location you went to play virtual BattleTech, and like Greg, I sucked at it. It was like this is the most expensive 90 seconds I've ever paid for. But yeah, at the time it felt like the future of entertainment, and then it never went any further.
So as a first convention, I mean, like, it depends on your thresholds, right? Like your budget and like how there's a lot of things you can only do at Gen Con, a lot of things that only happen really at Gen Con, like the mega games and other certain things. You have to think about like what you want out of it. Like Origins is also big, but like it's like a third of the size.
It's not as overwhelming, and it's not as loud and frenetic.
Yeah, if you want loud and frenetic, if you want like be able to bounce around between a lot of different types of events, Gen Con would be great to try a little bit of wargaming, a little bit of board gaming and RPGs, and meet your favorite authors or designers or artists. Get a lot of stuff you can't find easily anywhere else. And also, if you have limited time, like if you only have time to go to the US for one convention, right? Like, but if you want a more focused experience, you might look into cons that are more focused on what type of game you like the most. Like if you're into Warhammer, maybe Adepticon, that kind of thing. Yeah. So, or if you're into Cthulhu stuff, Necronomicon, or cosplay, that's Dragon Con. Dragon Con's more of a party con, is my understanding. So
as somebody who's done both UK Games Expo, which I know Callum has been to, and Gen Con is roughly twice the size. It's on multiple locations, which I suppose UK Games is as well, but it's within a city rather than on a campus. The after party, the evenings are much better at Gen Con. It is much easier to find people and to do stuff, rather than just kind of go to organized gaming and hang out, or go to the Hilton Bar and hang out, which is what people do at Expo. Flavor wise, it's very different. The atmosphere, the tone is very different. Gen Con, you have to remember, has been doing this literally since the 70s. It's very polished. There's a lot more events. There's a lot more tracked items, a lot more talks. The talks are much better attended. Whereas Expo is still very much based around the trade hall and open gaming.
Yeah. Gen Con, especially if you're like trying to be cover or be like a professional or get network for the industry, Gen Con is very good for that. I mean, I got that's how I met the people at Art Dream, and I got my first book contract that way, so that worked out well. But the after parties, like there's also a lot of like after the main events and the exhibit hall ends, there's tons of hotels that are connected that have rooms that are just empty. You can just take over and hang out or play board games or RPGs or whatever it is. Caleb ran a playtest of Red Market 2nd edition for some people that went until 3 a.m, and she regretted that a little bit. They also have like there's a football stadium nearby that they take over for Gen Con, Lucas Oil Stadium. Let me pull a photo of me at that place, just to give you a sense of scale.
It is a football stadium.
Yeah, I got some footage in the video I do. It's coming out tomorrow. But there's so much there.
So big, so loud.
So big, so loud. And here's some images from the upcoming Eclipse Phase board game, Scum Swarm. Let me pull that up. They're gonna have like STL files for 3D printed miniatures too, so you can be like a little uplifted octopus guy. And Gen Con has things like the Crown Plaza Hotel, which is haunted, probably with those weird, creepy white statues, which is great. We love the creepy white statues.
Does it still have? Is there still the like Ayn Rand themed restaurant in the one hotel, Rourke's?
I don't remember. I didn't see it. Do you remember which hotel that was in?
No, it's the railroad one.
Oh yeah, that's a Crown Plaza. Yeah. I don't remember the name of the restaurant. It was not very good, but it was fine.
Well, what would you expect from Ayn Rand themed?
Yeah. Yeah. So there, yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, it's as con goes, I don't know how expensive it is compared to other cons. Um, Certainly the rooms are going to be a problem too because there's so many people going there. You'll have to be very lucky at a hotel lotto to get in. Like people, you have to get your ticket, your badge, like in January, February, and then you get assigned a time in which you're eligible to get a room. And if you don't get a good start time, you're not going to get a room that's within walking distance of the convention center, in which case you have to, Uber in every day or, whatever, or drive in. And obviously parking is going to be a nightmare. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, Gen Con. Does anybody have any questions about it? Also lots of cosplayers. Lots of use games.
Deal is even bigger, but I'm like, yeah, but that's in Germany, so you can just take the train.
That is literally what I will be doing in October. I will literally.
Whereas this, despite what this picture would make you think, you can't just take a train.
Oh yeah, I did go to the Diana Jones Awards.
Who won?
I'll show you. I got
part of the reason where I don't allow myself to get too wrapped up in awards is that I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have to pay attention. My attention.
The Paizo Workers Union won the Diana Jones Awards this year.
That's cool.
Speech. Yeah.
Union strong.
Yeah. So that was fun.
I refrain from commenting on the Diana Jones Award these days because I ran it. I set it up. I ran it for 20 years. It is its own thing now, and I think it would be uncouth for me to comment on how they're doing.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's like when you have to see your kids make choices that you maybe wouldn't have made, and it's like, well, but sometimes that's great. I mean, at some point I realized I'm like, people are playing Unknown Armies in ways I never intended, and I'm not sure how I feel about this, and eventually came to the conclusion that no one gave a fuck how I felt about that, and that was probably healthy for them and me.
This is the India Garden that we got there early.
Baby.
So, but as we were eating, like 10 people showed up. So yeah,
sure,
yeah. We got there just in time.
And were they like whispering behind their hands? You see that over there? That's Caleb Stokes.
Yes, obviously.
Any.
Yeah. He had one yet. He had not one yet.
No. Okay, has it gone to his head? When he was...
No, you don't know Caleb very well if you think that went to his head.
That's the joke. I'm like, did he insist on sitting in the back when you drove home together?
He hadn't tested. Yeah, he was fine then. He said it was his best Gen Con ever. Let's see here. I did see some good miniature games. There's one called let's pull down that image.
Come on, Ross, chop.
This is what is it? Was I next to
Aztecs?
Yeah, it's like Mesoamerica, Haunted America, like Mesoamerican. They had a really cool like snake god themed mini. Not Quetzalcoatl, but like big honking guy. Look at that guy. Yeah,
with a chain. Wait, why does the snake have a chainsaw arm? Is that?
I think that's like the Aztec Stone Club with the.
Yeah.
With the obsidian teeth in it.
How is?
Yeah,
it's a snake with arms.
Yeah,
it's
Naga.
Snake Otar.
It's Snake Otar. Well, Naga. So let's see here. We got, of course, Quetzalcoatl there. Looks like.
What's the company behind this?
God, it was did I not get a photo with the company logo on it? I think it was like Haunted America or Mesoamerica.
Camazotz or GTFO.
Cheers. Yeah. Nope. Come on.
Oh, sorry, I put you on the spot.
Yeah. I thought I got a I tried to get photos of their I thought I had a photo of their banner with their company name on it because I thought that was cool, but I must have deleted that photo. Oops. Well, if somebody in the comments can find it, they can
These do
Left
look
Side.
extremely cool.
Yeah. There's just a lot of really interesting.
So do they have their own game, or is it just like
It's like a skirmish game? It looked like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or you could just use these for whatever other game you're using minis for. What is that thing just below?
This guy, it looks
That
like
guy.
a Wendigo kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not sure. Let's see. But yeah, a lot of like I'm still have a lot of material, a lot of video to go through and other people's material as well. So we'll be covering a lot of this on RPPR. But yeah, Gen Con is very fun. Oh, okay. I'll show you one slightly scandalous. Gen Con has to Gen Con. So let me show you the slightly scandalous image. The like, oh, Gen Con.
What are you doing, Gen Con? What are you doing?
Yeah, this is the
Why does the shark have titties, Ross? Why?
Because capital, it sells, Greg. People want shark titties, all right?
It does appear to be the one place that the Sci-Fi Channel have not taken their shock.
That's true. They have not. Let's see.
Horny Mothman.
I mean, Kingdom Death had a huge presence in there. Do you know Kingdom Death?
Oh, unfortunately.
You say the words and it feels like something I've repressed in my memory.
Okay, you probably for good reason. Yeah, don't look at Kingdom Death is out there. And there of course there were tons and tons of cosplayers. I got quite a few, but this is sort of representative of the
it can't be worse than James's rabbit.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me.
They were outside the exhibit hall for a lot of them. There was a cosplay parade. I didn't capture.
Oh, nice. Myself. That's a Delicious in Dungeon, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. There were several delicious. There's quite a few Delicious in Dungeon cosplayers. It's very popular this year. I just caught up with it on Netflix. It's a very good show if you haven't watched it yet.
I couldn't get into it. It's, I watched the first few. I'm like, this is fine, but it's not sending me the way that.
Well, it
Scavenger's
really ramps up. Like it really,
it really ramps up.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's one of those you get into the mood, and eventually you go, oh yeah. No, I enjoy being in this space.
Yeah, of course. The UK's, one of the load-bearing pillars of the UK economy had a good presence there. I think. Lots of Warhammer stuff, to be sure. Gen Con is a lot, and it takes some time to fully unpack it. But if you're interested in tabletop gaming, it's worth checking out. And it will take me a while to get through all these books that I got. So we'll be talking about that later. But Fair Shown Tonal Dissonance of Delicious in Dungeon.
It's very weird. It's the fact that it's a dungeon where there are entire cities within the dungeon, and they kind of hand wave and go, "Oh, something about dimensions and magic," and you just kind of have to go.
A wizard did it.
Yeah. There's a lot of that, a lot of stuff that makes no sense, and then there are some bits where they kind of follow trains of logic, and you go, "Okay, actually, that's very clever, and that does make sense within the parameters of the universe you've set yourself." And there is a moment, possibly due to a family joke, that had me laugh out loud, where they're following through the logical ramifications of a polymorph, and it's genuinely great. I will not spoil it because it would be a spoiler, but anyway.
So I think this image is, I just casually catch it as walking by. So the exhibit hall is like multiple aircraft hangars worth of space. Thousands and thousands of people, just as far as the eye can see, and you just walk around, and then you see like something that would be like the showcase centerpiece of a smaller con. Like this is the Pride and a massive mini, like 4 feet long or 5 feet long, probably. That's the airship from Fallout 4. And they're just having this huge event here. People are painting minis and doing the Fallout skirmish game. And this is just a couple tables. And then you look over and you see something else amazing just on the other side. There's just so many surprises.
Yeah. Did you get that sensation of sort of awe fatigue where it's like, okay, I've now seen my 50th amazing thing for the day, and I just want to go to a room full of neutral tones and put a cold washcloth over my eyes.
Yes, actually, they actually one of the things they add. I don't know if they
do they have one now. Did
they have a quiet room in the con
Yeah.
center, so
Wow.
where people were taking naps. I went there to check my phone and sit down for a bit, but waiting between events, and yeah, so there's definitely you can get over. There's more stimulus than you can handle for I think a lot of people if you're not used to.
Yeah, I have a. I mean, it's large cons are like that. I went to Essen in 2016, having not been for 20 years. My previous Essen had been 1996, and walked in thinking I can do this. I know what this is like. And Essen is not a spectacular show. It has big stands, but there's not, giant mecha and stuff like that. It's very much, it's a commercial show. It is about selling games. Stands are there to demo and sell games primarily. And after 6 hours, I had to go back to my hotel room and lie down because my brain was full of new information, not spectacle, just new information about games. And I've never had that feeling before or since. It was very odd. But I was overwhelmed by the sheer data overload of
my brain's never
many
sent
games,
this error message before.
Yes.
Bus
Also, the fact that in that
full?
6 hours, I think I had spent €400.
Yep. Yeah.
Because all of this stuff, it's it's you. I was after a game that you published 6 years. Oh, you have copies and the expansion. Of course, I'll take them. It's all of these kind of these mystic objects that I've heard rumored about, and they're there, new in shrink wrap. Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, they had this outside the exhibit hall. There's the boy I just took a photo with, and the lines, of course, were tremendous. Yeah.
Did you get the there it is.
Yeah, lots of COVID-19.
The real winner of the convention.
Yeah.
Did you get that moment when they opened the doors to the exhibitor hall and that vast wave, the human wave, rushes forward?
Oh yeah, I was at the right outside the exhibit hall before they opened on Thursday morning.
The wave of COVID.
Yeah, I was wearing a mask for that. Like I wore a mask in the exhibit hall too.
I will say the number of people I've heard coming back from Gen Con reporting that they've got COVID is quite remarkable. I mean,
it's distressing.
It's maybe 1 in 4, 1 in 5. It's a large number. I think this is going to be a feature of large cons from just going forward.
At what point does it officially become a super spreader event, though?
I mean, it definitely was a super spreader event. Part of the problem, I think, was Comic-Con was like the week before, and a lot of the same vendors and some of the same guests went from Comic-Con to Gen Con. And so that led to a lot of cross-contamination. So stay up to date on your boosters, and have masks on hand. So anytime, even if but you can see I was spending compared to a lot of people, but there's this. It's very fun to go there and have an armful of new games to play. This was new. They didn't have these in 2019. They have these little quiet rooms you could just go into. Of course, they were always full, so I didn't get to try them, but they've become very popular. But it's a lot. So if you have the money and time and you can handle that much, or look at the Gen Con program, or look at the events and figure out what kind of events you want to do. You could look at past catalogs to get a sense of they have RPGs, they have board games, they have mega games, they have all kinds of things. Here's some things
I'm feeling so tired just thinking about thinking about the way I felt Gen Con at the end of Saturday. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that anymore.
That's fair. I mean, I I gotta make content for the content gods. So some of the areas I went through the program to highlight things that I wanted to try and get footage of or photos of. Just the food truck area, cosplayers, costume contest, Makers Market, which was people just crafting things, especially with regional vendors. Lucas Oil Stadium, as we talked about. Entrepreneurs Avenue, which was in the exhibit hall, was smaller, giving the booth space to smaller first-time companies. Collective Art Project, where people work together to paint a picture. First Exposure Playtest Hall. puppetry program, as I mentioned. There was a laser tag that was Warhammer Kill Team themed. There was a national security decision making where you're like kind of like role playing like a political crisis event.
That's kind of a regular. I think that's there.
I wrote that.
Yeah, that's been there a while, but yeah, that was one of the highlights. There's an auction, of course. I posted a video in the Ludonarrative Discord that I saw that was somebody selling the original a copy of the original printing of D&D for $16,000. And let's see, there's a film festival, there's an art show, there's Authors Avenue, there's a writer symposium, there's a retro arcade, there's escape rooms, there's true dungeons, and of course RPGs, board games, mega games, miniatures and war games, LARPing, painting miniatures and crafting, roving entertainers. There's
you can just cruise on over to Games on Demand.
Yeah. I know like one of Caleb's friends, Sean Ferris, was ran like 6 games of Red Markets, and he said there were like there were 200 players, people who wanted to play Red Markets, and he only got there were like 200 overage. Like they couldn't get enough people to run games of Red Markets. There's just a huge demand for all kinds of interesting games out there. So yeah, it's a unique experience if you haven't been. But yeah, obviously COVID is not going away, it looks like. So you got to roll those dice, or go very safe and wear a mask the entire time. And even then, you're still
you got to get one of those like full helmet filter.
You can get like an industrial respirator that like has 2 little packets on the side. Let's see here.
For you, that's probably a legitimate business expense.
Oh, 100%. But I just was wearing N95s and switching them out every day. But like something like this is what I was thinking of. Like that's if you want to be really serious about it, something like that. There's a lot of different models. But obviously, you want to be out sweaty in the downtown Indianapolis, where it was very humid. There were thunderstorms threatening the entire weekend, so it was very grimy after a while. Yeah, but that's Gen Con. Anyway, we'll be covering more in RPPR. But yeah, we're doing James Bond next. I'm working on the Savage Worlds episode. I'll get that done this week. And then we have Nice Black Agents Double Tap that I need to edit, and then need to edit James Bond. And
what was the one, James, where you reduced me to absolutely helpless laughter? Which one was that?
That was the one I've just done the notes for, which is Savage Worlds, talking about Bennies.
Okay, yeah,
these joys still to come for you listeners.
I kind of remember that now.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I gotta go remember that one.
But yeah, so I don't know what we'll do our next live stream of, but we'll figure it out. But
sometime.
Sometime. Yeah.
Always a pleasure. This is
Yep. Thank you all for watching. I'll get this up in the public feed as soon as I can. But we're over time already. It's weird.
That was a quick and thank you for doing the heavy lifting on this. I mean, on the other hand, you are the one who went.
I'm the one who went.
I'm looking at the like $300 COVID like clear bubble helmet gadget.
Oh yeah,
like maybe one of them, maybe one of those.
Combine it with some cosplay. It's
totally, 100%. Put that put that on over a jumpsuit with like one of the termination shock patches like this, and it'd be perfect.
And if you haven't already, subscribe to Role Playing Public Radio on YouTube. We'll have video footage on YouTube, and of course the audio of the episode is going on our podcast feed, so if you don't want to watch it, you can listen to it. But yeah, we'll have an extended breakdown where I talk to everybody and their experiences as a longer episode.
We'll have an extended breakdown is sort of how everyone feels
all the
time now.
Yeah.
Welcome to 2024.
I'll drink to that. And with that,
all of this and not a single couch gag. Wow, we're slipping.
Yeah, that's what JD said. Hey, all right.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Yeah, we'll just we need to.
We must stop.
All right.
Okay.
Is he gone? We're all gone. We're all out.